Afternoon all. Now this video is slightly different to my normal electronics videos because this one's about printer ink, and in particular these inkjet refill kits. On the left is the Tesco 3 30ml bottles of black ink. On the right is an Asda colour kit which contains the 3 cyan, magenta and yellow bottles, again 30ml each. These kits come in at about, well, I think the Tesco one was £6, the Asda one £8, but they did a 2-for-1 offer, so that brings the price down to £4. Now, once you've been buying these kits for a while, you build up a stock of these syringes. So what I've done is allocated one for each colour, which means that you don't have to be quite so careful with the cleaning because you're not cross-contaminating the coloured inks. Now, generally speaking, refilling cartridges is relatively easy, although you do get the occasional mishap, as you can see from this roll of masking tape which I use to hold the cartridge upright while I refill it. Now, everything was going perfectly well until my old printer, which was a Canon, blew up. The power supply failed, and although I did look at possibly fixing the power supply, there was an issue with Windows 8 drivers, so in the end I decided no, I'll buy a brand new printer. And here it is. It's a Canon, it's an MG5250, it's got a scanner, and it's got a liquid crystal screen, and it's got Wi-Fi, and it's got a little door for cards, for a card reader. And the thing you notice about these printers when you have a little play with them, which of course you do just after you buy it, is how easy it is to print stuff. You don't really need the computer on at all. You just plug a card into that card reader, whiz through all the images on the LCD screen, and just print out whatever you want. And that's great until you run the first ink cartridge empty. And that's when I was presented with the dilemma. Do I attempt to refill these new cartridges, or do I go out and buy brand new, genuine Canons? And as you can see, I was lazy, and I just went out and bought a brand new pack of all 3 of the colour dye inks, the black dye ink and the black pigment ink in the larger tank. The only one I could get was a twin pack. Total cost of these 3, £60. Now the printer cost £70, which I thought was a reasonably good deal, and it came with a full set of printer inks. So if a new set is £60, actually it's more like 50 because this is a twin pack. I think this was £20 for 2 of them. So 50 quid, that values the printer itself without ink at £20, which is clearly nonsense because there's more than 20 quid's worth of gubbins inside that box. But that's the business model that inkjet printers use. Sell the printers cheap, sell the ink expensive. Let's have a look at this. We've got 9 millilitres of ink there. And that was £10.50, I think, that one. Let's call it £10 for 10 millilitres. Let's make it simple. That's £1 a milliliter. Here we've got 3 times 9 millilitres. That was 30 quid exactly. So again, £1 a milliliter. Now, what's a milliliter? It's a cubic centimetre. So it's about the size of a dice or a die. That is 1 milliliter of ink, and that's £1 at Canon's prices. Now, they say that printer ink is more expensive per litre than vintage champagne, so what would 1 litre of genuine original Canon ink cost? Well, there's 1 litre. It would cost £1,000. So back to the inkjet refill kits. At £1 per milliliter, these 90 milliliter kits would be worth £90, and they're not £90. They're about 5 or 6. So a huge saving. Now, the old Canon printer had translucent cartridges, transparent, see-through in other words. So when you refill them, you could see very easily what you're doing. These ones for the new printer are opaque black. So refilling them would be very difficult. The way you do it is you use this little hand-operated drill. You drill a hole in the top of the cartridge. You use the rubber bungs in that pack there to seal the hole off once you've squirted new ink in, and you're ready to go. But it's a lot easier when you can see what you're doing. And the other problem, of course, is the dreaded chip. There it is, that little 4-pin thing attached to the front of the cartridge. Now you can get chip resetters, so once you've put new ink in the cartridge, you press the resetter against that chip and it resets it and tells the chip that the cartridge is once again full. But I really wanted translucent cartridges, so I went on eBay and I found this, a set of 5 translucent cartridges with those little rubber bungs. The hole you don't have to drill because it's already in there, and this was $7.99, but also $1.49 postage, so just shy of £10. You've got all the different model printer numbers there in a drop-down list. Mine was the PGI 525 and 526, and this came from Shop Easy 24. Now, if you look further down the listing, you can see why these were so attractive. Auto reset refillable ink cartridges for my particular model. Empty, of course, they come empty. And it says here, ink level will be auto resetted when the computer shows ink are empty. Well, in fact, what it appears to do is that the cartridge auto resets when the power is removed. So when you take the cartridge out of the printer, it auto resets the chip to say that the cartridge is full. So here are the cartridges. They came from Hong Kong, so of course they took a couple of weeks to turn up. They come in these little cradles. As I say, of course they're empty. One of the comments on this seller's feedback said, "Where's the ink?" But anyway, the ink is here. You buy your own ink and you refill these cartridges. As I say, there's a rubber bung in the top. The hole is already in there, which makes it nice and easy to refill it. And there's the auto reset chip. Now, some of these chips were a little bit wonky, and in fact, when I put one of these cartridges in the printer, I had to jiggle it about a bit for the red light to come on, but it came on in the end, and so all was well. You can see that I've already put the black dye ink and the yellow dye ink cartridges into the printer. I've refilled them, and it seems to work. And there are the 2 Hong Kong cartridges on the outside there, the 2 translucent ones. The 3 in the middle, the black ones, are genuine Canon replacements, but all the red lights are on, which is good. That says that all the cartridges are full. So what about the actual process of refilling these cartridges? Well, I'm going to have to do that in a part 2 to this video, because at the moment my ink status is that all the cartridges are full. So when one of those runs out and I have to refill it, I will make another video and show the process of actually refilling, making as little mess as possible.